That work? That
Seems
sort of
to.
works. I don't know what the lighting. The lighting all right?
You tell me.
We're a little bit. I'm like light side, dark side. Ooh, like I have brought balance to the force. Also like. So there are no cinemas. There you go. Face it forward. See what I have to put up with. Since we can't do driving home reviews, I've said why don't we do sat at home review? So that's what you're getting.
I thought it was a good idea. I'm now rethinking that.
I'm actually looking at how fluffy my beard is at the sides. Anyway, so we've just watched Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian, or Season 2, Episode 1, if you like. But it was labelled as Chapter 9. I'm calling it Chapter 9. And there was something... I follow Hello Greedo on YouTube, who's awesome, by the way, and you should follow him too. And his big thing with anything Star Wars at the minute is do stuff new. Don't go back, don't always be going back and bringing back old characters, old situations. It's a massive, great universe, galaxy. Do new, and I really kind of agree with that. With the Mandalorian in particular. However, that all said, this episode was largely stuff from the original trilogy, almost in its entirety, and I still loved it. Now would be a good time to put a spoiler warning in, probably.
Spoilers.
So, if you don't care about spoilers, carry on. If you've seen it, carry on. If you haven't seen it and do care about being spoiled,
Stop.
Stop now. Now. And come back when you have seen it. Have they all gone? Well, tough. If you haven't gone, you're going to get ruined. So, Boba Fett is back in that very last shot. I didn't quite spot it. I gathered it was probably supposed to be Boba Fett, but he was the one that went, "That's Tamara Morrison," and I was like, "Nah, it didn't look anything like it. wasn't right at all." So he went back and paused it. And I was like, "Oh no, it clearly is actually him, very clear." And then he even gets name checked in the cast,
which was unexpected.
Yeah, I thought they'd kind of leave that. Well, the thing is, he is all of the clones in theory. Ergo, they're clones. So
kind of implicit.
Yeah. So. But it's Tatooine. They've got Boba Fett's armor, presumably shat out by a Sarlacc. See, I then started to wonder. They talked about it being an old Sarlacc pit. So if you take it as the expanded universe Tales from Jabba's Palace, I think it's the final chapter of the book, which is Boba Fett's chapter. And he has this whole conversation with the Sarlacc in the Sarlacc's belly, and then escapes. I think by killing the Sarlacc. It's been a long time. So was it that Sarlacc? Because it was out beyond the Dune Sea. They name dropped that.
And they make a point about the whole, you don't get empty Sarlacc pits. You do if it's, I think, been eaten was the phrase they used.
Yeah.
Which I think the implication was, because obviously, other spoiler alert, but you've already been warned, the crate dragons clearly potentially eat Sarlaccs.
It was big enough.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was the other thing. As soon as you saw it rumbling through the desert, I went, "Oh, sandworm." Wait, no, crate dragon. And Paul went, "Really?" I went, "Yeah." And then they name dropped that as well. So you had the sand people, who, when I've never really noticed before, they sound awful like seals. So expect to see a sand person balancing
at your local sea aquarium.
Well, I was going to say just balancing one of those pearls on his nose.
A crate pearl.
A crate pearl. I didn't know crate pearls were a thing. Paul's read more of that stuff than me, so he knew crate pearls were already a thing. But there must have been tons of little Easter eggs in this, because you had 3PO or a 3PO looking droid on a wall. You had what I assume is actual R5D4, because he had the little square all
explodey thing.
That's as good as I can describe that. It was all black around where his little bad motivator unit popped. Which is weird, because if this is 5 years after Jedi's 6-7 years after Star Wars, something like that. 4 years, I think. between 4 and 7 years.
Well, there was officially something like a year and a half gap between Empire and Return of the Jedi. That's the amount of time that they'd spent looking for Han to track him down to Jabba's palace or something.
You see, I remember way back then, we always believed, and again, it's because we were like 10 or whatever, we believed the time between films was the same time that had amassed for us. So it was 3 years. I've read timelines recently that say that's not the case. And actually, it's something like months between Empire and Jedi. And only a year between Star Wars and Empire. So while he looks that up. So anyway, it is X years later. I mean, it's a minimum, say, of 6.5, 7 years since his bad motivator... Oh, the cat sneezed. Since his bad motivator went... And they haven't cleaned his head. He's still all black around the little red square.
Yeah, but it is Jawas.
Yeah, Jawas, which now apparently just have red eyes.
Well, no, because we worked out they weren't actually Jawas.
No, when you saw the Jawas in the flashback, when he got the armour... Because he gets the Boba Fett's armour comes from Jawas, by the way, to Timothy Olyphant's character. Which you know already, because you've seen it. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be watching.
But if you haven't seen it, it's too late now.
They should have done it ages ago if they haven't seen it. And also what I liked was, although Baby Yoda's become the thing, there wasn't. I don't know how I made the light change. Oh, never mind. I like the fact that Baby Yoda was still good and still very much part of it. Hilarious at the start when
oh my god!
when the fight kicks off and he just slams his thing shut and reverses. We were both pissing ourselves laughing.
Well, okay. Interjection. Brief timeline. Basically, Empire takes place roughly 3 years after A New Hope.
So that is, as I believe,
3 year time skip that you were obviously referring to, and Return of the Jedi is about a year after Empire.
Right. And then this is now 5 years after that.
They've actually got it pegged. The Mandalorian is basically 10 ABY. So it's
10 years after the Battle of Yavin.
6 years after Return of the Jedi.
So if it's 10 ABY, that's 10 years he's had that little square on his head. Why have we got so much detail about this little square? And we just have. So while, as things were cropping up, I was starting to go, oh, please don't just be going back to the same old shit. Don't be going, because, you know, the prequels relied on going back to the well. It was kind of their job, but, you know.
Kind of implicit in the word prequel.
Yeah, but they could have still done better.
Well, that's a given. They were shite.
It comes to something when this far down the line, The Phantom Menace is my favourite of those 3 films. And there's a reason Revenge of the Sith can be anagrammed into Revenge of the Shit. Fucking hell, I'm really not a fan of that film at all. I think possibly only Solo is beneath it in my whole of my Star Wars films.
Controversial.
I even put Last Jedi above it. And I didn't like The Last Jedi.
He really didn't.
I did not like The Last Jedi. That's grown on me, though, to be fair. The more I watch that, the more it does grow on me.
Yeah, you hate it less.
I hate
now
it
we've
less.
seen it again.
I hate it less.
It really isn't a case of he likes it more. It is genuinely he hates it less.
He's had to watch this film with me and have me tirade throughout the entire thing. So.
And previous to it, when we were having the whole tirade about how, oh my god, I'm going to have to watch it again, when we were doing the watch every movie in, was it timeline chronological order we did it? It was, wasn't it? In the run-up to Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah. Did we? You know, it was, yeah. Yes, we did Phantom Menace.
Yes.
Yeah, we did, yeah. We did their chronology, yeah.
Yes, rather than the actual release chronology.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and we slotted. What did you flip into as well, didn't we?
Things like Rogue One.
That's the one I couldn't think of the name of.
Yes.
So
one of my
favourites as well. I don't think anything will quite ever take the place of actual Star Wars, which I still call it to this day. I know it's been subtitled A New Hope for longer than I ever called it just Star Wars, but that's what it was for the first 3 years of me loving Star Wars.
That's for me. To be honest, that's what it's always been. It's always been Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, there's generations, like multiple generations out there that don't see it like that.
Well,
God.
they're wrong.
But yeah,
Nerds. We could go on forever.
yeah. But yeah, so that's always got this kind of magical place because it was the first one and it was magical and everything. I think Empire will always be my favourite, just because it's just such a well-made film on every level.
It is essentially Casablanca in space for the quality of the writing. Because wasn't it the main
That
script writer
fits
someone who
in
actually,
so many ways.
Because I'm sure, or maybe I'm just getting it muddled up, but I'm sure the screenwriter for Empire was involved with Casablanca.
It's Lawrence Kasdan, wasn't it?
I'm thinking of a woman.
Lorena Kasdan? I don't remember.
But I think that's where the whole "I love you, I know" is come from. Is that it's that
Yeah,
very
it is. It's that.
Casablanca,
It is. That's what I was thinking. Is that moment
understated?
Yeah. Even actually, if you just thinking about the framing of the shot, it's the man and the woman that stood the wrong side of each other, but it is almost the same. Oh God, that's spun me out a little bit.
I told you something you didn't know about Star Wars.
There's lots I don't know about Star Wars. There's proper Star Wars fucking Ming-mongs out there who know all of these expanded universe things. They know what a crate pearl is. I never got into any of that.
Oh, I didn't.
It wasn't proper Star Wars to me.
I've mainly picked it up from playing things like Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, see, I'm not really into games in that way either. I've got.
This really is turning into the longest non-review review ever.
Well, we didn't talk about that. We talked about how much we loved it, and
We did.
it's just if you love Star Wars,
We
then
do.
you're going to talk about it. I forgot what I was about to say. Oh yeah, no. There's one of the games I've got. Is it called Battlefront?
Yes.
Clearly never played it. But I'm told by my friend Matt that there is in their VR options for flying an X-wing, and we have VR. So at some point I should get my ass in gear. To finish the fucking Doctor Who VR game. I'm halfway through, which is awesome too, and then give that a shot. But there's going to be some VR stuff in the new Star Wars game as well.
Yeah, there's also Star Wars Squadrons, which is literally flying X-wings and TIE fighters and stuff.
I was terrible at the arcade version. Remember that arcade, or the proper line game?
God, yes. I'm thinking of the one that I think like the latest one where you actually were flying over like. Why am I doing this with my hand? You're flying over like Star Destroyers and stuff like that, and it was a bit like a Star Wars does. I want to say Dragon Quest. Was it Dragon Quest that was the really difficult cartoony?
That was Disney or Don Bluth or one of them.
Yeah.
But basically, it was just lots of sequences of cartoon
of you dying.
So you only had to hit the button at the right point. You thought you were in control, and you really weren't.
Yeah.
It was just a case of at the right time. If you got the right jump, you'd go to the next clip of cartoon. Otherwise, you'd go to the clip of you dying.
Yeah, that was one.
But for years, no one realised that was how the programming worked. So they thought you were actually controlling a cartoon. But in 1985, technology wasn't there. What were we thinking? The other games we were playing at the time were Paperboy and Marble Madness. Why did we not spot that? Because we were 14 and didn't know. Yeah. So
we've digressed.
Background.
And back to the point.
Oh God. We've got to do one for Discovery after this, and we've watched that.
So we were talking about
The Mandalorian, which we loved.
Were we? Was it?
I was. Did we?
Who?
I've seen The Mandalorian season 2, episode 1, and I loved it. That's it, really, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.